Okay, now remember, I'm doing a video. No, I'm doing a video. Okay? Alright. So Bears decided it's time for me to pick her up. And I've got the board all set, so here we are. Um, and this is a rough time for a couple of fan bases right now. You're not going to make me giggle when I talk about this. This is serious. No, this is serious stuff. This is serious hockey news. There was a time years ago where people said your channel's never going to go anywhere if you got cats. You got cats. These are the cats. Lose the cats, and then your channel's going to go somewhere. Yeah, okay. Sam Reinhart and Rasmus Ristolainen last night. They vented pretty good after that 6-1 loss, and Ristolainen came out and said there's been a lot of games where he hasn't been happy. It's been a miserable experience playing for the Sabres. And, okay, what did I just tell you? I just told you, don't, okay, no, seriously. Now, Reinhart also came out and spoke about how frustrating it's been for him and how the guys need to step it up. And he was the only one that had a goal last night. You have to wonder how much of this is going to lead to guys pointing the fingers at each other. So it'll be like, okay, I noticed you out there in the second period. You had that one play where you allowed that goal. Well, yeah, I was on the ice for that one, but what about the one you had? You didn't body check that guy at all. You didn't even go for the puck. So could be a lot of finger pointing going on in that room. I do not envy the job of Ralph Kruger right now. And reportedly, according to Jason Botterill, owners are frustrated as well, which is good because management and owners and fans all seem to be frustrated with one another. The frustration, there's plenty of it to go around right now in Buffalo. No, it's not bath time. So for Buffalo, the misery just continues, doesn't it? Now, for Ottawa, Bobby Ryan was seen at practice today, so that's good news. Bobby Ryan, of course, put himself into the substance abuse program, and him being back is a good thing for Ottawa, absolutely. So being back at practice, I'm sure he'll be out there for a few, probably get sent down to the American League for a conditioning stint, and then he'll be back up at the big club. Be interesting to see what they do with him down the deadline, or down towards the deadline, and I guess beyond as well. Bobby Ryan can absolutely be a very, very good veteran presence for them in the locker room, and everything he's been going through, it could actually make it better for him, where he's able to talk to some of these kids and say, look, here's where I went wrong, careful. New Jersey news, tomorrow night they play in Philadelphia. They will not have Nico Hischier or Sami Vatanen in the lineup, as they both did not get on the plane to go to Philly. It's not bath time. I'm not carrying you around so you can bath yourself. I understand you're a princess, but that's not, no. So yeah, Hischier and Vatanen won't play in Philly on Thursday. I'm going to put you right here. Yeah, you can go right there then. Look out the window. Not carrying you around while I'm bathing yourself. There's a line. So yeah, Hischier and Vatanen out of the lineup for New Jersey. We don't know for how long. Hischier's missed, I think it's the last couple, and they're not really saying a whole lot about it. And speaking of which, Detroit has Nielsen and Green. They've placed them on the injured reserve, and no idea how long they're out. And for Detroit, of course, they're stuck on 28 points, and they've had their injury issues throughout the season, but I don't think even the most optimistic Detroit fan would think that their season would have gone a whole lot better if they had had a healthy lineup all the way through. Now, I did the panic index this morning. I'm going to say right now there may be some Flames who are a little more panicked than my panic index may have indicated. And there may be some Flames players and management who are more concerned. So Mark Giordano left last night's game, and we didn't know much about it. However, he was heard saying, I tore my hamstring. He was heard saying this by a Sharks player and by a rinkside cameraman. Now, you know, those are the ones that are right up against the glass. They have that hole cut in the glass. So apparently one of them heard it. And two different sources reporting to Sportsnet, yeah, he said he tore his hamstring. He did come back out on the ice and tried, and that was it. So he came back out on the ice, tried skating, and nope, and left. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean he tore his hamstring, but that seems awfully specific. And if a player injures himself, it's sort of like when a guy goes down and he says it's broken. Very often it's broken. So, Giordano, if he's out for any period of time, that will very, very greatly affect the ability of the Calgary Flames, not just to make the playoffs, but remember, there's been rumors that Hamonic or Brody could be on their way out of town. Well, you're not going to trade a defenseman when you're down Giordano. That's just not going to happen. So it may very well not just affect their ability to make the playoffs, but their ability to make a trade at the deadline to improve their forward group. So this could potentially be devastating news to the rest of the season for the Calgary Flames, and I wouldn't be surprised if we get a statement that Giordano's out 4 to 6 weeks if he tore his hamstring. It could be that major of an issue. At the very least, they may very well say he's week to week with a lower body injury, and we're still talking about it a month from now. On the are you serious level of things, so the East Coast League every now and then has a Charleston Chiefs moment. They have a slap shot moment. And it looks like it was on January 31st this incident took place. Well, Emerson Clark has received a 16-game suspension. He's a 27-year-old journeyman player for going what I would call 150% Gino. Remember way back in the day, Gino Odjick, playing against the St. Louis Blues, decided taking off his jersey and his gear would be a good idea and skating around the ice shirtless. You want to talk about why there's tie-downs on all these jerseys? I point to Gino. That was right where the NHL went, this looks bad. Well, in this game against Fort Wayne, the Jacksonville Iceman star player decided I'm going to pick a fight. And then he kind of picked a fight with the entire bench. So they're right next to the bench. He picks a fight. He's like, I'm going to go against the whole. I'm going to all of you. I'm going to beat up all of you. So the linesman pulls him away because he realizes this guy's the problem. And then he headlocks the linesman and jerseys the linesman. Now, I want you guys to think about this from a National Hockey League perspective. He headlocked a linesman, he jerseyed a linesman, and struggled to stay out of the penalty box and kind of fought him to stay out of the penalty box. He got a 16-game suspension. In the NHL, that would be the rest of the year. Honestly, if we saw a guy going into the bench, the other team's bench, trying to pick a fight, if we saw a guy basically fighting the linesman and losing. So, right? And because that's what I was thinking was really kind of not, he's not throwing down, but every now and then we see just how tough linesmen and referees really are. And we take that for granted. You'll see this where a player will collide with a referee and the players kind of shake it up and the referee's like, yeah, you shouldn't have been there. And you're like, these referees are tougher than we thought. And linesmen kind of are too. And you have to be able to pull these guys apart. And he gets a 16-game suspension. Again, if this happened in the National Hockey League, you've got to think it's the rest of the year. You got to think at the very least Gary Bettman's going, this is terrible. This is going to be all over. This headline's there. This highlight's going to be everywhere. It's going to make this league look absolutely Bush League. He's got to be gone for the rest of the year. We got to send a message. By that standard, the ECHL is sending a message to Emerson Clark with a 12-game suspension. Also, Fort Wayne's Chase Stewart and Kyle Haas are suspended 6 games for fighting off the playing surface. I would imagine they're the Fort Wayne Comet players who were pounding him down to the ice from the bench, which means they had the higher ground, and Anakin Skywalker will tell you, don't try to fight somebody who's on higher ground. There you go. He's suspended 16 games. They're suspended 6 games, and it's a joke. 34 games played for Emerson Clark this year. 8 goals, 14 assists, 22 points, and 158 penalty minutes. Those are 80s level penalty minutes. And, you got to think that's probably 5 for fighting, maybe 2 for instigating, 10-minute misconduct, probably a 10-minute game misconduct, 50 minutes for jerseying an official. And then apparently he's a repeat offender too. I was reading that in the article, like, repeat offender. So yeah, ECHL, making sure we never forget the movie Slapshot. The last item I want to touch on today is that apparently Dale Talon, and there's an actual quote from Talon on this, so it's not really just rumor. He wants a veteran on the blue line to play with Ekblad. So if you're a Panthers fan and you're going, I can't stand Ekblad and Yandel out there together, you're not alone. Talon wants to balance things out. And this is something for Florida that's been an issue. They need more defensive, responsible. I always use the example of Mark Mathot, right? Chris Tanev would be another example too. A Chris Tanev type defenseman who goes out there, defensively responsible, and would allow a guy like Ekblad or a guy like Yandel to go out there and just go out there, do all your offense stuff, do all that. That's fine. Play a rover position. Play up there. Don't worry about the defensive aspect because I got it. and they need that. And so he understands the need for that, and that's what he's looking for at the deadline. And the rumor has it that they're willing to and taking calls on, and this is from Pierre Lebrun, on Hoffman, who's an unrestricted free agent this summer, and then they're looking for defense if they're going to trade Hoffman. The problem with this is that apparently the team that would have the most interest in Hoffman would probably be the Oilers, who, if you added him as a top 6 winger, the Oilers could potentially be a contender at that stage because he is a 20, 30 goal scorer. But the Oilers aren't awash in defensemen that would be of interest to the Florida Panthers. That's where the problem is. I mean, you've got, obviously, Klefbom would be huge, but Oilers aren't trading Klefbom. Nurse is fantastic. They're not trading Nurse. Larson for Hoffman, I can't see that. That being said, it'd be interesting if they did trade Adam Larson the same year that Taylor Hall gets traded, so we'll see what happens. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Apparently it's still bath time. I'm not carrying her around when she's doing that. So yeah, let me know what you think too about the Emerson Clark 16-game suspension. Now in the description for this video, I will include a link to the fight in question. And you guys can let me know how you feel about that. And whether 16 games at the ECHL level, if that's like okie dokie, and would it be the rest of the season in the NHL? Because I think it would be. I think it'd be like, nah, you can't jersey a ref. You just can't. It's not a thing. Can't be doing that. Or linesman. Can't be doing that. So yeah, definitely, absolutely. To quote the Hanson brothers, old time hockey. All right. Thank you guys so much for all your support. Enjoy your Wednesday. I will talk to you again soon.